And now the wait to see if we're going live or not. My favorite
StreamYard
part of
has
the
been
live
pretty
shows.
good. I mean, they've gotten most of their glitches out, so I think that's a good thing. They're usually on top of it. It is a delay, but they're usually on top of the whole coding end of that to
Yeah,
get us
and
on.
see, I'm one of the suckers that Alphabet actually got.
Uh-oh.
Oh no. Aaron.
I go and
no.
say that.
There we
Look,
go.
I go
Of
and
course,
say
yeah.
that, and then it's like, oh gosh.
We
I'm
jinxed
like, they're
it.
great. They're great. They're awesome. And then we have a delay.
All right, am I coming through now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Hopefully my camera doesn't get all off. The live I did on Nicole's channel the other day, like my audio and video is all messed up.
You'll
wow.
come back eventually. Like whatever happens, we'll wait. We'll know that you're, coming back, and here you are.
All right, excellent. Glad to have such great YouTube friends.
Yes.
All right, well, welcome everyone. Charles is going to be joining us shortly, but this is the live discussion about romance on Reddit. So this is a kind of fun idea I had where we're just going to talk about some posts that we found on the Romance Books subreddit. But first, I'm going to ask my co-hosts to introduce themselves. Stephanie, go ahead and start.
Hi, I'm Steph from Steph's Romance Book Talk. It's a mouthful, but I only talk about romance, everything from light and fluffy to dark and twisted. And I do weekly vlogs of like my life, day in the life type thing, and put those to music. But mostly I talk about romance books and have been for quite some time. So that's me.
And Steph is one of the most voracious romance readers out there and catalogs very well everything that she reads. So good work.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's so true. It is so true.
Alicia's here. Hi, Alicia.
Hey, Alicia.
And Reading Room. Thanks for stopping by. All right, Kelly, if you would please, could you introduce
Absolutely. My name is Kelly. I host the Boobies and Newbies Romance Novel Review podcast. I am a podcaster first, although you will find me giving my 2 bits about romance on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and now TikTok. So you want to listen, come on over. I'm happy to talk about anything as far as romance goes too. I'm with Steph. I like the sweet, but I also like the super, super smutty. So I am here for all of it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. And Carrie Nichols, thanks for being here. Good evening to you too as well. Charles, welcome aboard. Can you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Charles. My channel name is Books on Stereo, and I pretty much am primarily an audiobook listener, but I will occasionally forego my audiobooks and pick up a physical book or a Kindle book. I primarily read romance, but I'm definitely kind of getting back to my roots and reading outside of that genre because I do admit I am getting a little bit burnt out on romance, and I need to give myself a little refresher and give me a little mystery suspense. Maybe not so much romance. I'm like, just give me a little something different to like rejuvenate myself so I can go back to reading more romance. It's a thing. You have too much of one thing, you can get tired of it, and you need to switch it up. You know what I mean?
It's
like
spice. Yeah.
I don't know. That's just certain people.
We're not gonna start. We're not gonna start right now.
Charles, I'm with you. I read a lot of romance, and that's like my primary read, but I feel weird telling people that I like cleanse my palate by reading murder. But like that is kind of like, ooh, I need a break from the love and happy endings. Let's go read some true crime.
No.
Hey, sometimes it works. I'm like, if you sneak in a little romance, I won't be mad at you. But like sometimes I need like my dark, like twisted book that has nothing to do with romance.
Yeah.
So I can go, okay. Now when I'm reading those books, I'm like, I wish they were boning. Then I can go back to romance. I'm like, epiphany.
See, I just turn on the television. That's when I start doing like the Netflix binge or the Amazon Prime binge. I'll just consume that type of media instead of books. I'll get my 15 to 20 minutes in a day on my Kindle app, but if I'm feeling slumpy and just don't feel like reading, do 15, 20 minutes of, a couple chapters, maybe a couple pages, but I'll binge my television shows because I have a long list of those as well.
I know you do.
Yeah.
I know your list.
Yep.
Now, before we get started, Kelly, you said something I actually wanted to expand on, and that is romance and true crime. It seems to be that fans of one are fans of the other. Do you have any theories on that?
So I just did an interview with a cozy mystery author the other day. And so this was something that we talked about because I find that there's a lot of crossover between also authors who write romance that either also
Mhm.
write cozy mysteries or they want to write cozy mysteries. And I think it's a lot of like the small town aspect that you get in a lot of romance novels, like obviously not all of them, but that is like a popular setting for a lot of romance. And from what this author told me, it was just this idea of like, oh, romance maybe got like a little too spicy for them. So they decided to take the aspects that they liked about romance novels and migrate over to a different genre. So like that's kind of at least where it makes sense to me
Mhm.
because I'm a longtime reader of both. So give me love and give me murder.
Excellent.
I
All
totally
right.
agree with that because like a lot of big romance authors, like you wouldn't think there are romance authors that write really big mystery thrillers, and you're like, wait,
Mhm.
they're considered a romance author? How did I
Mhm.
ever know like Sandra Brown or Linda Howard? I'm like, wait, these people are romance authors? And they're like
Yep.
killing people and like it's
Yep.
just like because they like separate them so much in my head. I'm like, they're mostly mystery thriller, even though they're technically romantic suspense. Like I agree with that. That's kind of like interesting that you find that a lot of romance authors do tend
Yeah.
to write mystery thrillers
Mhm.
at some point.
It's interesting. And I've heard it more from romance authors who want to write mystery as opposed to mystery authors who want to write romance.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm.
Mhm.
I haven't seen any James Patterson romance out there, but I'm surprised, honestly. He writes everything.
Just
He- and he
just give
features
it a
he
minute.
features a whole bunch of people, so
Yeah.
How many of his books does he actually write? That's a little hot
Right.
because he has a lot of like James Patterson and this other author in a really tiny print. I'm like,
Yeah.
how much of this book did you write, James? I'm like, I know you're getting up there.
Probably nothing. Probably not a single stitch of
Probably
it.
just gets a
It's
check.
just
They're
his
like,
name.
we'll put your name on the book.
It's not even a person.
$50,000.
It's just a
Yeah,
brand.
it's not
There you go.
Like Tom
Has anybody
Clancy,
checked on
I
him
didn't realize
lately?
the author died a long time ago. But like they still publish books under Tom Clancy. I was like, wait, what?
What?
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
he's
they
a
still put his
like
name on books.
they still
Really?
put his
I did
name on
not.
books even though he passed away quite a while
Wow,
ago.
I thought Tom Clancy was still alive.
Well, this
You
is
would
why.
think, right?
Mission accomplished.
Oh my goodness, that is crazy.
All right. Well, so Reddit, if anyone doesn't know, is a website that's technically it is an aggregator, is what it is. So it's a place where you can just essentially repost anything from anywhere else on the internet, and you can sort it into essentially different groups. So the romance book subreddit is what we're talking about today. So let me go around again. And Steph, what was your experience before this with Reddit, and what's been your opinion afterwards?
Okay, so I never got on Reddit before. So I would dabble, like I would see people be like, oh, go to this link for the Reddit link.
Mhm.
And then I would push the link and then it would be like, oh, do you want to download the app? And I'd be like, nope, I'll pass. I was like, nope, I'll pass on that. I don't need to read it that bad. Now, when you invited me over, Aaron, so graciously, and I thank you for that. I had to like go in and like start looking around, and it's a wild place there. Because essentially you can post pretty much anything there.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I did find it a little hard to like navigate to like because Aaron gave us assignments we had an assignment for this for this
we
live.
did.
They have
And-
homework.
I'm like, how rude, Aaron. I thought I could just show up.
And trying to find sort of some of the topics that Aaron wanted us to look up and, you know, kind of talk about and things like that. I found it to be a bit challenging because even when you put in just the it's a subreddit, right?
Yes.
Is
Mhm.
romance book. Okay, so you put in the subreddit and then you put in what you're looking for, and it just kept populating for me. It kept populating the same things over and over again. I was like,
Okay.
no, that's not what I was looking for. But that was all the experience on my phone. Then
Okay.
today I went ahead and tried it on my actual computer,
Mhm.
and I found it to be so much easier to look around and find what I was looking for. And I could see where the enjoyment comes from, but I'm not a big news person. So
Mhm.
I was like, oh, I gotta read some more. Ugh, ugh. This is a long old post. I don't know that I want to read it. So I probably will be deleting the app from my from my phone after this. But I can say that I've experienced it now.
Well, that's fair enough. And thank you for diving in for our little experiment here.
Yeah.
All right. Kelly, what was your experience?
So before this, not a lot. I had a previous career working in reality television. And so when
Oh.
I did that, we would have to check Reddit periodically for spoilers about our shows. And that was pretty much until now my only experience with Reddit is that being like a spoiler thread for, you know, shows that were happening or
Mhm.
albums that were coming out, whatever it might be. But this was a deep dive. I can see why people like it just in terms of having like another community space forum to like connect with people.
Mhm.
I'm kind of with Steph in that I just don't need one more place to go. Like maybe if
Yeah.
this is something that I was new to romance and I was looking for book recommendations and I didn't know where to start. Honestly, I wish I had known about something like Reddit when I had started my romance reading journey
Okay.
like 10 plus years ago. But yeah, it was a fun experiment. I'll give you that. Like I'm not going to say that I'm never going to go back because there were some threads in there that had me all kinds of curious.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely a wild place. And like Steph was saying, yeah, the defaults when you first go in there, it's mostly news and things like that. But when you really take the deep dive in, there's a subreddit for every fandom. There's a subreddit for every, you know, kind of book genre, just books in general, all, you know, movies, all of it. So it is a lot like like TikTok for me, where it's awful until you curate it to exactly what you like and want to see.
That makes
Yes,
sense.
yes. And also, I've heard people say it's like TikTok for people that like to read text.
Okay.
I can
So
see that.
Yeah, you can just keep on reading.
That makes a lot more sense. That really does make a lot more sense. And like those are the TikToks that I like swipe past when I have to do too much reading. I'm like, bye.
Yes.
Right,
Bye.
yeah.
That's not, I
Yes.
mean, so I could if that's the equation of that, you know,
Mhm.
then okay, I could definitely
Yeah.
see how that audience would be
Yeah.
held over there.
Like if you're
Just
somebody
one more
on
comment.
Yeah, if you're somebody on TikTok that is constantly posting those videos where it's like pause to read, I'm like maybe this is the platform for you. Maybe Reddit is the place
Yeah.
for you.
I use Reddit, but not for book stuff. Okay, what do you use Reddit for, Alicia? I'm curious. All right, Charles, what was your experience with Reddit beforehand, and what's your opinion now?
Like everyone, I haven't used Reddit like at all. I knew what it was. I knew like some authors would do like Q&As on Reddit,
Mhm.
or they would have
Oh.
discussions with fans and stuff like that. I was like, okay, that's cool. Like I'm not the type of person that like usually interacts with posts. I like to like keep abreast of what's going on,
Mhm.
but then I don't usually actually comment. I may like stuff or comment every now and then. So like for Reddit, like when you gave me the link, I literally just Googled the prompt and like chose like one of the top two. I was like, I don't have time to do a deep dive because I'm like, I'm going to get obsessed and then I'm going to like go down a rabbit hole and it would not be pretty for anyone. But I did like it felt like a lot like the books that you recommend on TikTok, a lot of the discourse that I found. I was like,
Okay.
what? Like you're still talking about like this book? I'm like, this book came out a while ago. And
Yeah.
I think there was one for like specific book recommendations
Mhm.
that I found, and I was just like, I want to read this book because it's so detailed in what it wants for the
Yeah.
heroine specifically. I was just like, I can vibe with this. I'm like, throw your wish request for books that will never exist. But I'd like to see that you want such a specific type of romance heroine. But I
Yeah.
think it's an interesting site. It doesn't seem as toxic as Twitter yet,
It's
but I
so
can see things getting heated with
yeah,
the
there's
fandoms and everything like that. Like I tried looking at Stranger Things a little bit because that's what I'm currently binging right
okay.
now.
Yeah.
I was like, don't you guys dare spoil this for me. So I was like, okay, let me. Okay, you theorists and like all these subreddits. I'm like, okay, I need to put you all over to the side so I don't
Mhm.
spoil myself. But it was an interesting experience. Would I use it again? Probably not.
Okay.
But I'm glad that it exists. Like
All right.
it's a cool platform.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started with your book request. I'm going to start with that one, Charles.
Oh really?
Let me get the screen share all.
Oh, you're gonna like
set
put it up
here.
there and
Oh, yeah.
everything. Okay.
All right. So, let's see. This was what was that book called?
I don't remember.
Oh wow, we're getting busted here.
Which are we doing, the book request, or which one are we doing?
So this one was Charles's book request. Okay. Did you
Okay.
want to read it, Charles, or we just want to leave it up for everyone to see?
This is really funny. Okay, book requests. Abusive girlfriend requesting a book where the girlfriend is a toxic individual who is insecure, controlling, always manipulative, belittling, and negative about everything the male partner does, and somehow maybe they solve the issues, or maybe they don't. I was like, this one just sounds like they just went through like a bad breakup or something, and they just want to take it out in a romance.
Right.
Yeah. I was like, when I saw that you had posted that, and I was like, oh, what kind of, I don't know that they're gonna be able to find a book like that. Especially seeing that yeah, no, not a romance book. That's gonna be hard to come by.
Yeah,
That is going to be hard to come by.
I was like, try literary fiction maybe, but
Yeah.
not romance.
I actually saw a couple requests or descriptions too, where people were trying to figure out a book, and one of them was like a super abusive situation, but they had thought that it was a romance, and there were a couple people in the chat that were like, I don't think what you're talking about is like actually a romance. It must have been like miscategorized, because this just doesn't feel like it goes here.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah. And even first comment here pretty much says like this doesn't sound like
It's
this
like
doesn't sound like
it
a
won't
romance.
exist.
But in all seriousness, though, domestic violence is a real thing, and we don't want to make light of it. So just remember, there are resources out there. You can call, you can chat, text with people. It's all on hotline.org. So just want to throw all of that out there real quick.
Good.
All right. Who wants to go next?
Oh, golly.
We
should
can
I
go for
just be
mine,
me?
I guess.
Okay. All right.
I think Steph, let's see what you got.
Steph's book request was okay. Yeah. Now, did you want to read this one, or would you like me to read
go
it?
ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, I'm looking for a book where one of the leads, either won't start a relationship, stay in a relationship, or progress in a relationship because of fear that they could the fear could be because I'm losing my place. Because of fear. The fear could be because the other lead has a dangerous job or standard commitment phobia or some other reason. Having to watch each other date or start new relationships would be a bonus.
Oh.
Also, bonus points if the leads already know each other at the start of the book. I hate slow starts. Basically, the angstier, the better. Thanks in advance.
So the main reason I picked this one was because of that very first comment of Colleen Hoover. I was like, really? I mean, yeah.
It's become a standard response for a lot of people, especially on Book Talk. Like it is.
Gosh, yes.
You can't go a day without scrolling and there being at least one or two Colleen Hoover
that's another
recommendations.
Quick scroll for me. Quick scroll. Yeah. But surprisingly, I have read quite a few books lately where there's a whole commitment phobia issue going on with our characters. I've just read, what was it? Oh my goodness. It was the Lucy Score book, By a Thread. And both of the characters were like super old. Well, I shouldn't say old because they were the same age as I am, because then I'll be calling myself old. But they were older. And he was just like, I am not getting into a relationship because, my father did this and he was such a bad guy and da da da. And, it was just like, okay, can we get over that hump, please? Can we please get over that hump? But then I sit back and I think about like society now, and how people younger than me, when I was that age, it was like I had already done a lot of the things that they're just starting to look to do. And it was just like, wow, like I had already been married, or I had already had a kid, or, I had already been out on my own. And, with the way society is built right now, we have 25 to 30-year-olds still living at home. And it's like, yeah, no, I mean, I had already been out of the house for, gosh, like 5-10 years when I was at 25. So it was just, or not 10 years, not 10 years, but at 30, it had been 10 years. So, it was like, it's, I guess, different age ranges look for different things. So this is an interesting won't date, won't commit type thing going on.
Well, and as somebody who's currently in the dating pool, I can speak to the fact that I would much rather stay at home than just even dare to use dating apps. I mean, I do it, but I'm like, here we go again. And also like living in predominantly cities through like the last like 10 years, it's definitely like a different vibe. So I mean, it's something that whenever I read characters who are like 23 and worried about dying alone, I just get really in my head because it's just so far removed from the life that I've lived that when I do read people who are in their 30s and have never had, that serious relationship, or they, haven't been married or engaged, I'm like, yeah, I don't understand. Like, what's the problem? Like, this sounds like all of my friends. So
yeah, and I definitely do not realize, and I try and stay so far away from that whole single commentary, whatever it may be, that I'm just like, I'm not gonna die. I'm not gonna try and give any advice. I'm not gonna try and dive in. Not gonna do any of that, because I'm so far removed from that. So it's just like, ooh, it's a different world out there. It is a different world.
Yeah. And catch up on some comments here. So Alicia uses Reddit to catch up on JFK conspiracies and fall down that kind of rabbit hole. So yes, there's definitely that on Reddit as well. Kelly loves that journey for Alicia. And Bree, hello.
Hey, Bree.
Thanks for joining us. And yes, dating
does suck now.
Okay, let's see. Let's go. I'm going to pick on you now, Kelly.
Oh,
We're gonna do your book request.
I feel like I already forgot
Ooh.
oh yeah.
Which one you picked?
Yeah.
I just saw the title and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And that's what made me click on it. I was like, I don't even need to hear what else is in this post. This title alone is exactly what I'm looking for.
All right. Well, do you have any recommendations for this one yourself?
Well, so this was kind of what was perfect about this thread is like, if you look at like the first couple of recommendations,
Mhm.
everybody kind of hopped on the Kate Canterbury train. And I am a
Okay.
huge Kate Canterbury fan. And this is kind of the man she writes is quiet, introverted, a little bit nerdy. And then you get to the bedroom and boom, flip switches. It's just, yeah. So I would definitely go with basically any book by her. There's a few that are recommended. Catherine Nolan also writes a lot of really great heroes like this, especially her hero in Bohemian.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
So good. I will read and reread that book over and over again. It's a great one.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That's gonna go on the TBR then.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Which one was it that had the yoga teacher?
For Catherine Nolan?
Catherine. Yeah. Oh, it is. I'm drawing a blank on it so bad.
Catherine's really cool in real life. And so she has like all her heroines are always like, they're like vegetarian or they're artists or they're yoga teachers. Or she has one where it's a female billionaire that owns like a vegan cosmetic company. I'm like, oh, I just want to be friends with all of your women and I want to bang all of your men. So it's like, but I don't know. I can't think of which one.
I can't remember. It was the one that she wrote for the Read Me Romance podcast, and I can't think of what the name of it is. But the only nerdy genius quiet MCC that she doesn't have that sort of, he's not nerdy and he's not a genius, is Out of the Blue. He's a security guy. But you could sort of flip that, and her female character is a surfer, an activist, and just that, all of that. So it's like at least one of the characters, not necessarily the male character, but one of her characters are definitely gonna fit that nerdy genius, quiet, quirky sort of feel.
Yeah, so basically any Kate or Catherine. There you go. Go to
exactly.
There we go. All right, Bree's only been on Reddit on accident. I feel like I'm missing out on something.
Oh no, you must have missed me saying I'm going to be deleting it. So
and Carrie's gonna look for some Kate Canterbury.
Yes.
I am as well.
I give thumbs up to that as well, because I liked Fresh Catch and gosh, that series. It was Fresh Catch.
There's the Walsh family series.
See, I didn't read that one. I didn't.
She writes a bunch of like sibling series. Like there's a couple of them, and I know the Walshes are one of them. But I think the one you're talking about isn't part of that series.
No, it's not. It's a different series. Nice. But yeah,
so much to choose from.
So much for you guys to choose from.
All right. Well, mine was pretty tame now that we've gone through everyone's here. Mine was just looking for medical field, but not a doctor and a nurse. And
but that's super hard to find. Most of them are either doctors or nurses. So it's like, what other profession are you looking for in the medical field?
Yeah, well, one example I read recently was this is The Vet's Unexpected Hero by Tracy Douglas. And so that's a veterinarian and a paramedic.
Oh, okay.
Slightly different there. Yeah.
But a veterinarian would be considered a doctor.
That is true.
I was about to say that.
I feel like in sports romance, sometimes there's like a physical therapist.
Oh,
I don't know if that would if they would count that, but
yeah, this is true. Because not necessarily, you don't have to necessarily get a doctorate to be a physical therapist or a sports therapist type person. So I could see that. I could definitely see that. And to give a recommendation for that, I would say check out Jamie Albright's it's not Prom King, it is, what is it? How am I drawing a blank on all these books? This is because I've read so many. And I don't even think it's in this year's reads. Hold on a second. Continue to discuss. I will look it up.
I have another one that it's not a doctor, but Maisie Edding's debut is called A Brush with Love, and it's about dentists.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that one was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just finished that one and it was so cute. I really enjoyed it.
Well, if anyone in the comments knows anything about like a CNA romance or something like that, let us know.
Yeah,
Okay,
Oh,
so it is
smoke jumpers.
called.
that's cool.
Oh yeah, we love I place those under firefighter. So
Yeah. Mhm.
So it's called duking like Duke, ing. She actually has it spelled out like that. It Out by Jamie Albright, and it's about a tennis player and the physical therapist, kinesiologist, something like that, but he doesn't have his doctorate, and he's getting her into rehab and getting her back into shape. It's so much fun. It's funny, and there's a goat. Yeah, there's a goat in this one. So, but the goat actually has like parts in this, it causes some havoc. So it's the comic relief for me. And I was like, yes, I can do this. But it's a small town sort of feel to it. So yeah.
Very nice. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, does everyone want to get a little angry now?
If you want me to.
I'm like, if we have to.
Well, I'm going to start with mine because I think it's probably the tamest of them here. But this one was an excerpt that someone put in here, and it's women tend to not like Star Wars for some reason, he said, or a grown man carrying around an action figure. I actually like Star Wars. He put his hand over his heart. A beautiful woman who likes Star Wars. Should we skip the formalities and just grab a flight to Vegas to get married? It's so rare, isn't it?
Listen,
I mean, if that's your thing, go for it. No shame.
Can I just say, I am so tired of the not like other girls trope in romance. Like, I must have seen something similar to this in like 10 other rants where it would be like, oh, they're alternative because they were Doc Martens. And it's just like all these similar posts where it's like, she's not a she's not a regular mom. She's a cool mom. Like, some of us are just like the other girls, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I second this. That is so true.
And yeah, the title of the post was just, can we not?
Can we not?
Love it.
That's great.
All right. We'll just go down the line here, and I will grab Steph's now.
I do think the rants were my favorite.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Men in romance be like, there had no reason being this blue. They could kill someone. Let's see. People with blue eyes make up only 8% of the population, according to 80% of romance male main.
This one is long. This one's long, and it's on every platform you can possibly think of, except for maybe Instagram. But on Twitter, people go off. Obviously, on TikTok, oh my gosh, I know I've done a video about why do all of our male characters have blue eyes? Why? I mean, don't get me wrong. I love me a blue-eyed guy, but for the most part, I'm going to switch it up, especially if the last 4 books that I've read, all of the male characters have blue eyes, and they're always the bluest. They're blue as the ocean. And don't people know the ocean isn't really blue? So, or the sky, or any. So yeah.
Yes.
And don't get me started on the combination of blue and blonde either.
Oh,
Oh
no.
yeah,
Yes,
that's really common.
That's like an
classic.
instant characteristic change in my brain right
yeah.
there. Can't do it.
And it's almost the same with the so for the heroines, the green eyes and red hair combination.
Well, so funny you should mention that because when you get to my rant,
Oh, here we go.
Is that your rant? It's because they're all Irish.
Yeah.
these had me going. Like honestly, the whole thing is funny if you do want to read it, Aaron. Or if you want me to read it, because I will happily read this as well.
Okay, go ahead and treat us, please.
I think it's because this one really got me.
He's got you going.
Got me heated. Okay. As the title says, why are there so many redhead female main characters in sci-fi and fantasy romance novels? Is this some kind of author inside joke I'm missing, or just lazy writing to make the main character seem unique or special without actually having her do anything? No offense to y'all carrot tops, but this is starting to majorly grind my gears. I feel like at least 50% of the time I start one of these novels, I get hit with the auburn waves or her curly red hair BS. Don't even get me started on the perfect creamy pale skin crap. It feels low-key white-centric. This is pretty AF cut. Okay. I will happily accept double dicks and fucking giant lizards. But it really bothers me in sci-fi books set in the future. You're telling me that humanity is dying out. It is 2,000 years in the future, and the female main character has perfect, unblemished, pale skin and red hair. Does Ireland have some sort of elite space program I am unaware of to be populating the universe with a plethora of gingers? For the love of God, please quit with the token redhead FMCs.
Wow, and I love the narration. It was
Yes.
Thank you.
Perfection.
Thank you. I didn't know I had I felt so strongly about it until I read this.
And you just made Nicole hit delete on her manuscript. So,
oh God!
So there you go.
Oh no!
Oh, why is the male main character always over 6 feet tall?
Hey! We're not gonna go on that one, okay? That one we're gonna leave alone because I know it's unrealistic, but I want to break my neck trying to look up at my fantasy, boyfriend. Sorry.
And
I want to do that.
Yeah.
It has to happen.
I would like some short kings. Like I would not be upset over some short kings.
I second this.
No, I'm good.
We'll talk, Charles.
Now, let's expand on that, Steph. So, on being fine with the fantasy in a romance, like I'm of the same opinion. Like this, we're in the middle of the pages of a romance novel. Like, if we just want to fall into the fantasy, I'm fine with that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so characteristics. When authors include characteristics, I'm very lenient with my imagination of them, because our world is so wild and vast and things like that, and so many differences and so much beauty and things like that. Just what the media and I guess you can say what media says is beautiful isn't beautiful for everyone.
Mhm.
And I'm glad that I'm finally, at that place in my life to be like, I know this author is going to give me a white male with blue eyes and blonde hair. It's over 6 foot. But you know what? In my mind, I'm going to envision them as Idris Elba. because that's what I
Oh.
want to do, you know, or I want to make them look like Charlie Hunnam, or Jason Statham, make him an older guy with some beard and some tattoos. And, you know, what my brain decides to do is what my brain decides to do.
Mhm.
So authors can write what they want, but my brain's going to do what it wants to do.
I do think it's interesting though, and the only reason I'm thinking of this is I just talked to a couple authors yesterday, and I found it interesting that they talked about how they have a very specific image of like who their hero is when they write their books, that they're like, this is what he looks like, describing him to a T, but they don't do the same with the female characters, with the idea being that if you're reading this book, you're most likely placing yourself in the position of the female character, assuming this is a, you know, male-female heteronormative relationship. But that being said, I feel like we've made so many strides in the last few years towards widening up the types of female characters we're representing in books that I just want to see some attention paid also to the male characters as well. Like, I've been living for the male characters that have been described as a little more chubby or, you know, less toned. And I feel like though I haven't really seen many shorter men and shorter could mean 5'9". Like, shorter doesn't have to be like, I mean, it's like some people in the chat are saying, like, if you're a 5'2" person and your partner's 5'6", they're probably a giant to you. So
I'm breaking my neck. I'm breaking my neck.
Yeah.
I would not mind seeing a little more diversity amongst like the body shapes and sizes, you know, in romance for all the characters.
Mhm. Yeah, I do wonder where some of these heroes we have, where they find the time to spend at the gym when they're, you know, busy doing all this other stuff, but yet they've got a body like Atlas, you know.
It's the magic of romance.
Yeah.
You don't need to
Yep.
question it. It just exists.
Well, they're also
Everyone
all
looks
smoke
beautiful.
jumpers, and you know, I mean, they all have these careers that are so physical all the time.
That's where they get all the muscles. That's where they get all the muscles.
He's got great genes.
He inherited his muscles.
Yes.
Oh, love it.
All right, Charles, what was your rant about here?
I'm excited.
Oh, this one's really petty.
Oh,
So
Oh my gosh,
needing to
no.
pee isn't a personality.
No, I love this. I loved this when I clicked on it and read it, and I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I love it. And then going through everyone's like comments and things like that, I was like, yes, okay.
Yep.
I understand the need for some realism. You know,
Mhm.
okay, we just had sex. Now we need to get up and go to the bathroom because urination after bathroom or after sex is a good thing.
Yes.
It's important.
mhm.
And we didn't just fall asleep, or somebody else said something about well, I just read a book about a character or two characters having sex in the shower and then going directly to the bed, and the author made it a point that they were still sopping wet to make you sure
Okay.
you knew that the bed was still wet. The bed got wet.
Okay.
And I was like, because I've heard that argument of how do people get out of the shower, go have sex in the bed, and then they just stay in the bed. The bed is sopping wet. It's sopping wet. You're just gonna sleep in all that water. But yeah, the whole this Reddit was amazing to see how many times she talked about peeing.
Actually mentions it.
Oh my god.
And like, if you look through all the pictures, like I have to give some credit because like some of them are not actually like to pee. It's like part of a word.
Yeah, they just did a search. Like
they just
got
like
to
included
peek
it all.
here.
But I'm like, the sheer number of times it came up, I
didn't even realize there were multiple slides.
There's multiple pages.
Oh my goodness, I missed that too.
I went through all the pages. And I was like, because at first
Even in the epilogue,
I was like, this is not a big deal. I'm like, oh, it's only like 4 times mentioned in the book. And then you look at the other pictures and you're like, oh wait, no.
This is Mariana Zapata, right? Because I'm pretty sure this is like a constant across a few of her books. Like, I know that this has been mentioned in some of her other books too.
Mhm.
And so I don't know, maybe that's her. Like, maybe she's like, I want to see me in my books. But it kind of reminds me of like the older version being like the girl who always trips over everything. Like when she like
Oh,
Yeah.
mhm.
does anything. I'm like, at least this way it's like healthy. Like, it's,
Not according to some of the commenters. Some of the commenters like, she might need to get checked for diabetes.
like, why are you going so often?
You're a little bit too much. I just like looked at this post, I was like, this is so funny. I loved it. I was just like, maybe I should do that to see like if something's irking me about a book. I'm like, how many times is this actually mentioned in the book?
Yeah.
But I love that. I was like, that's like petty to a next level. You like took screenshots, you searched it. I was like, thank goodness for like digital books. Because imagine having to do this with a physical book.
Right.
That's
yeah.
real
That's
dedication. You're like, mention P on this page, to P on this page.
I think the rants are like if what you should go to Reddit for. Like that was my favorite part to read because there were so many of them that were petty as fuck that I was just like, this is how I think though. So I appreciate this.
Oh, that's yes, Kelly. Some of the greatest subreddits, a couple of them I'll mention. One is Petty Revenge, and that's stories people tell about their petty revenge against people that have wronged them. And then another is Malicious Compliance, and that's where people usually at their job maliciously do what they're told to the detriment of everyone around them.
That is crazy. I do love those segments on TikTok. I had fallen down that lane of TikTok for a little while there for the pettiness, and they were great. They were great. I was like, oh yes, I would do that. I would do that
and
too.
the am I the asshole posts and stuff like that. Like I do, I feel like if there's a story attached to it, I do appreciate a good story.
But it also depends on how it's told. And like in Mariana Zapata's world, she too long-winded to have the comedic effect of having their character pee all the time. So
and then all the fans of Mariana Zapata have converged on Steph. Started a subreddit and going like, this YouTuber is trashing Mariana Zapata. How dare she?
We're just concerned for the characters' well-beings.
Definitely.
All right. Well, I want to keep this around an hour. So what should we do next? Should we do Gushes, or what was that book called? Or should we, I guess we could do the Funny Fridays real quick.
I really like my Funny Friday one. It's like, I didn't think I linked it
correctly.
Yeah,
we need to do your Funny
Friday.
But like
this one, I feel so called out by this. I think it's the first one.
Let's see here. I can just.
I think I linked it wrong, so that's not my bad. But it's No,
it's all right.
It's like called Bang Anxiety. I can read. I have it pulled up. It's like when you're 65% into a romance and the main characters haven't had sex yet, and you start to worry I was like, that's so true.
Yeah.
I was like, that's so true. I do get worried.
Yeah.
I laughed so hard when I read it. I was like, yes, I know several of my fellow romance readers that would experience this.
I was like, it's a real thing. Like, if you're like 70%, you're like, wait, have they kissed yet?
Yeah.
You're like, oh no, is this a clean romance?
Yeah.
Like,
when you start to question that, and like there's no swooniness to go along with it, so you're like, oh, okay, maybe,
and like,
it's coming. But then you're like, wait, no.
There needs to be another term that's like where you get past the 65% mark. There hasn't been any banging, and you're like, okay, I guess this is a clean romance, and then you get to like 90% and then they do bang and you're like, whoa, wait a second, like I've just wrapped my head around the fact that there wasn't going to be anything dirty, and all of a sudden we're 69ing, and I'm just like, because that throws me for a loop.
I agree. Like, it does. Like, if you're like, you made peace with that, and all of a sudden the last 10% of the book is just pure smut, you're like, hold on, wait. I was like, this is. I feel triggered by this. I'm like, this is way too many. I was like, I was like, that's why like I usually go like with authors. I'm like, I'm always looking in the comments. I'm like, Control F, hot, steamy, sexy times, just to see like if I can like try to ascertain. I'm like, people in their reviews don't put this in there, and then I look at my reviews. I'm like, I don't even put that in the review if it was steamy or like super smutty. I was like, man, I'm not even doing myself a service. I was like, so I just see because like the clean romances, like they just put like a shirtless dude on the cover, and it could be clean, and you never know. And then you go into you're like, they haven't. That's what I'm usually like. I need something to happen within that first 10%. I need a kiss. I need a swoon. I need like a thirsty like description.
Yeah, that's quick.
Or
that is quick.
What?
I just need
like
something
it.
like to make me swoon. I need something there. Like it could be a look or like a description. And I'm like, okay, we're having sparks fly a little bit. So I'm like, okay, I feel like we're working towards something. It'd be just like, oh, hi to that one character. And then they just kind of go about their separate lives, and they're like, "Oh, hi again." I'm like, "Oh no, I'm like, only gonna get a kiss, and I'm
waiting
going to be
till marriage."
Yeah. It's funny because I just recently read a book that's part of a series. I knew it was part of a series. I knew it, and the cliffhanger had me going. But I made it through the entire book, until I read the other people's reviews as I was like putting mine in to remember that there was no sex, like none whatsoever. But the swooniness of them hooking up and their attraction towards each other was obviously good enough for me, because I was just like, oh, they didn't have any sex. They really didn't. What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
How did I miss that? How did it not even bother me? Because that really does bother me when I'm like totally teased by that. So yeah.
Right. For sure.
Yeah.
I love that like swoony factor. Like that's what really makes like the intimacies for me work. Because I have like sometimes you could read something that's highly erotic. The characters are going at it every other chapter, and you're just like, I'm bored. Yeah. I'm like, please, not another sex scene. Like, please don't put me through that again. I was like, if K-dramas can make like a look and a kiss feel like the swoon, like end of the like such an epic emotion, I was like, that's what I want for my romance books. I want to be swoon, and then we can get to the steamy. But I'm like, I want that swooniness. I want that chemistry. I want that intimacy.
Right.
That's what gets me in. I'm like, ooh. Yeah. I'm like, that's what really makes a book like super steamy or not. It's like when they do get to it and it happens, it can only be a paragraph. I'm like, whew. I was like, that's a little bit too intimate for me. I'm like,
they're sometimes hotter than the actual sex scenes. Also, I do just want to Carrie asked, how does everybody feel about the term clean as if sex is dirty? Carrie, this is something that I talk about on Twitter probably once a month because it really irks me. I don't even like the term sweet romance because to me, sweet implies that like sex isn't sweet or can't be sweet. And like some of my favorite sex scenes are sweet and funny and awkward. And so I have a hard time with that. I simply refer to them as like closed door romance versus like open door romance. And to me, that's just like the easiest way to do it. But it's hard when everybody has their own Steam levels and Steam ratings. So yeah.
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 Yeah, I agree.
I found myself saying no steam, low steam or no steam.
Low steam or no steam. I like that.
Yeah. Mine are usually because I have Steam fans. So like those I usually have like the definition of like fade to black or just, the intimacy of it or the talk of it or fade to black. But then, the higher 4 and 5s are like, hey,
get
into it.
I'm like, this is spicy.
Yeah, it definitely, you kind of have to like know who the reviewer is or the like blogger and like what their tolerance and like what their Steam level is to like understand like, oh, this is a 5 for Steph, but for me, I do like 1 to 10. So it's like, what how does that translate for Kelly?
Right.
All right, Charles, you obviously weren't in on the beta read for Succubus, but
okay, I'm fine. I'm fine with that, but like, I want there to be a connection. That's my biggest thing. I want there to be a tangible why these two people need to be in a relationship. Because then it's just like I'm more like I don't even know where I'm going with this, but like I need that connection to be there. If it's just like I see you, we bang every other chapter, I'm like, is that really interesting?
Well,
Because I
you
had
want to
books that
see
had
them.
zero steam, and I'm thinking it's like it was like the swooniest, like steamiest thing because the
Yeah.
way the characters talk to each other or like profess their love. I'm like, like Heartstopper on Netflix, zero
Mhm.
steam in that show, but I was swooning hardcore for that couple. I was like, it proves that you can do romance on either side, but if you understand the characters and their connection, you can make a kiss or a look and to be like, oh my goodness. That was so steamy. That was amazing. That gave me everything. They gave me all the feels.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, there is a time when I know for myself that I just want an erotica, and just give me to me nasty.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Page
Well,
one.
and that's kind of the difference, right? Is like, I totally get what Charles is saying is sometimes I'll read a book and be like, I thought it was really hot, but like, I didn't see them fall in love. Like I'm reading a romance. I want to see them fall in love to the point where I know that when the book is over, these people are going to be together. And sometimes I'm like, well, yeah, they're going to have like really hot sex, like hands down, but that's not enough. And if that's what I want, I will go read erotica.
Agreed, Kelly. Agreed.
Anyway.
All right, Kelly, let's look at your funny Friday.
I don't even think mine is that funny for everybody. I think I thought it was funny, but it's like, where did it go? I think it's like a little bit down you know what? Skip me. Don't do it. It's not worth it.
Well, I don't have one, so
right.
I couldn't navigate that one. I was like, Friday, what? Huh? What?
How does this go? Dedicated threads. Yeah. Mine was really quick. It was from Must Love Silence by Lucy Bexley, and it's Susie. She's pretty quiet. Maybe you could date her, or you two could date. I'm looking for more in a relationship than someone not talking to me.
Literally dating apps today.
I picked that one because it reminded me of this stand-up comedian that he was this shorter guy and he had glasses, and he made this joke that anytime any of his friends wanted to set him up, it was just usually a gender swap of himself. And he was like, yeah, I don't think I need any more short and blind, in the gene pool here.
I don't know if we have time for it, Aaron, but what I would love to see were people's find my book requests, because I found those really funny.
Yeah, absolutely.
The lengths that some people would go to describe these books.
We'll start with yours here.
Oh, great. I loved this.
Oh my goodness.
I love how detailed it is. It's like
I know,
bullet points and like numbers.
At the same time, I was like,
so
what are you looking for though?
Yes. So they're like, I want this specific historical book from 30 years ago. Vague plot points. They're at sea for part of the book. That was, a strong start. During the voyage, hero caught a fever. They have delirious sex. He doesn't remember. She's home in America and shocked, pregnant. I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. I would read this, and I can now because somebody did solve it. So
did they really?
Oh, it was solved.
Really?
Yeah. It's let's see. It's one of The Elusive Flame by Kathleen.
Oh, Kathleen
Woodowitz.
Wow.
So, if anybody wants to do a buddy read, let me know.
Kathleen writes some doorstops.
That is crazy. Someone was able to do
Oh
that.
gosh. Oh no.
Maybe not then. We'll have to check the page count first.
Yeah, we'll do it on audiobooks.
Look, does it? Yeah, exactly. Does it have an audiobook? Because these eyes aren't doing none of that these days.
But yeah, the spirit of these are so funny because it's just like, it's people asking about, I saw 2 seconds of this movie my parents were watching 10 years ago, and I what movie is that?
There were pirates, they were at sea. Ooh, I did just look it up, by the way. It is 500 pages.
Okay, so that's not.
Is there an audiobook?
Yes.
Oh, all right.
Ooh, we may have to do it. I need to use my credits anyway, so
There you go. There you go. Nicole's
Oh,
gonna
spill the
pass.
tea on the-
Kathleen, I'll
please do
pass.
spill the tea.
no, we're like, I'm good.
Kathleen
Thank you.
there.
I have a feeling her books didn't age
Ooh.
very well.
That's what
Yeah,
I'm thinking as
wouldn't
well.
surprise me.
It's like a lot of historical romances that
Mhm.
came around that time. A lot of them
Yeah.
don't. Like Joanna Lindsay. Some of her books, some of you are like, wait, what? Like, you thought that? I was like, what?
Mhm.
Like, back up. I'm like, did I just read what I just read?
This one's mine, isn't it, Aaron?
Yes, this one is yours.
I think I
Almost
misunderstood the
DNF.
assignment. Just let you know.
Oh, okay. This is a discussion one, but yeah,
I
I
was
mean,
like, okay.
It is an interesting thread, though. Like, just to
It
hear like
is.
why
Mhm.
people either did DNF or almost DNF'd
Right. Yeah.
other books. Oh, see, and this person says I continued reading it, and now it's one of my all-time favorite romance
Yeah.
books ever. So
Yeah.
there you go.
The
Has
FOMO was
anyone
real when you
read
DNF. You're
What
like, what
Happened
if
One
I end up
Summer?
loving the last 50% of this book?
Yeah.
What will I be missing? Like,
See,
should I
can't-
know?
I can't do it. I can't do it. If I
just get
feel that
burned.
strongly about
Mhm.
DNFing a book, it's my DNFs are so hard that
Mm,
there's no it has to like really hit. I don't DNF lightly, in other words.
okay.
So
Mm,
it has to be a real reason for me to DNF a book, i.e., characters not fitting, aligning, research not done. It has all the isms or
Mhm.
phobias or whatever. That has some type of those in there, and it's just like not phobias. Yeah, homophobia, phobias, those type of things. So, okay, what's this?
Nicole just
This is
shared
this,
some tea with us.
this is Kathleen's one of Kathleen Woodway's books, The Flower.
Oh, okay.
The Flame and the
People
Flower.
like
Well,
I actually have that.
So the
dang.
the dark romance reader in me feels like, let me think about that.
That is not what
It's like
it's
the
meant to be, though.
Like the dark romance reader in me coming out.
Yeah,
When I see
I'm
stuff
with
like
you
that,
on
I'm like,
that one, Charles. I am
like,
with
hold up.
you.
It's one of those ones where you're like, this is if somebody had intended to write this as dark romance, but this is like
Yeah.
clearly
Yeah.
a
If it's
If it's
historical.
contemporary, I'm like, if it's dark, I'm like, tell me more.
Yikes. Yeah, Kathleen's gonna be a pass for me. I'm disappointed.
This before her time. Did she write this before her time?
Yeah.
Just like go back and go like, oh no, that was actually a dark historical romance.
Yeah.
That's the whole genre.
Genre. She created the genre back then.
Ooh, yeah.
Yikes.
So, but yeah, so something like that would be like, yeah,
Fair enough. Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
Called medieval historical romance where heroine is required to bathe the
Bathe
hero.
oh
Can
my
I
goodness, I
say-
saw this and I tried to like go through all the threads and I
Yes.
was like,
Mhm.
what?
I
don't
am
understand.
trash for this. I love when people take baths in romance novels just in general. Like I love bath scenes.
Yeah, I read a Harlequin heartwarming. I think it was like Beth Carpenter or something. But heartwarming. Those are closed doors. Like they don't even swear
Mhm.
in those ones. And there
Yep.
was a moment where the hero just washed the heroine's hair in, just like a basin on the table,
Okay.
and
Yep.
so I had to make a joke about Heartwarming actually having a sensual shower scene in it.
That's good. I like that term too, heartwarming. Like that's another good term for,
Mhm.
a closed door romance, alternative to clean.
Yes.
Although in this
Mhm.
case, she was pretty clean.
Oh yes,
Clean.
yeah, her hair was at least, yeah.
Oh,
That's in the first 60 pages. Like, how do you
Yeah.
come back from that and make you
Ooh.
believe
I read
that poor girl's
worse
gonna
in
fall
some
in love
dark
with him?
romances where you're like, how is the author gonna walk this back?
mhm.
Yeah.
Like that's like the
Mhm.
prime question for dark romance. Like, how far can you push it and the reader
Yeah.
not turn on you?
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
That's
Because
like
one of my
dark romance in a shell.
one of my
Mhm.
favorite series, the first book isn't actually a romance. It was written as a psychological thriller, but then the rest of the
Oh.
series flips it and makes it a romantic suspense sort of thriller-ish series. So yeah. Like I want to say probably about 50% into the first book, the hero, actually it's probably earlier than that, but the hero kidnaps drugs, kidnaps, and holds our heroine captive.
Ugh.
And she gets used to that, and then he gives her some leniency to go out on his property, and she doesn't get back in time or something like that, and he, let's just say he's not, he does some things that in the end 5 books later he's regretful for. But yes, I am Nicole.
I
She
knew
is
the
my
author. I was like,
she is my favorite author, like of all time. She's my favorite author, and I love that sort of
I
trope
feel like
that she
you should
uses.
have like a stack of her books. So like whenever you recommend, you're like,
Yeah, I think I just saw.
Like, you
I
didn't
think I just
prepare,
saw
like-
one of your TikTok
Yep.
videos with her
I have
books.
so I have every single one of her books that she's written, and it fills
Wow.
up 2 shelves.
Oh wow.
oh,
So
wow.
yeah.
Yeah, it's funny
I like
because you
Bree's like,
mentioned.
hell no.
Yeah, you
No
mentioned
kidnapping.
kidnapping, and Charles and I both like my face went like, huh, and Charles was like, like, tell me more.
If it's done right, I enjoy
Yeah.
good
This is like a
kidnapping.
dark romance. Like I have to. It's like two different brains I use. Like dark romance, I'm like, oh, okay, let's follow that. Regular romance reader, I'm like, oh no, what? No. But dark romance, Charles might like this.
Oh no, it's not in the 5th book that he starts to regret it. He regrets it earlier than that, but the redemption arc of it takes the full 5 books. They go through a whole bunch of other
Yeah.
twists and turns and a whole bunch of other stuff for before they're happily ever after. And a lot of things happen, like some jail time, psychiatric ward,
Wow. So you're
type stuff.
committing
So,
to a
yeah.
saga, like
Oh,
with
yeah.
this.
Well,
It's a
yeah.
huge saga. It is a huge saga. And she even says herself that, I mean, it was her very first book and, that she wrote. So I've been with her since her very first book. But it's not, it could definitely use some editing and things like that. There's a whole bunch of stuff that she could have taken out and,
Mhm.
things like that. But I absolutely love it. I go back and reread it. It's like one of the only books. Well, I have a handful of books that I reread, and that happens to be one of them.
Nice.
That whole series.
Is there any dark romance you won't read as a dark romance reader?
Oh yeah, there are tons. Dark romance is like the one genre where
Yeah.
you can like, if it's handled wrong, then I'm like messaging people like, I'm about to throw this book out the window. I'm about to throw my phone out the window. I'm so angry.
Yeah.
Like, I remember this one. There was like it was a book that featured cheating in it, and the way it was handled. I mean, like every chapter, I was like in my head going like, I want to strangle both these 2 characters, run them over with the tractor, and like throw my phone out the window, and just like write the most pettiest 1-star review that I could. And then I'm like messaging from like, have you read this book? I'm like, you need to like. I'm like going off on my rant. I'm like, I'm way too in my feels.
Well,
But that's
and-
what dark romance. When it's handled wrong or poorly, then I I'm like, why'd you make me read that scene that I didn't have to, that had nothing to do with it?
Yep.
Well,
So I feel like dark romance, I just try everything, and then I'm like, no, thank you.
And then figure out what you do or don't like. Yeah, I think it's really the reason that I'm like a firm believer that like trigger warnings need to be included in books, like dark romance or not, just because you enjoy a kidnapping book doesn't mean you are signing yourself up for every other dubious, taboo subject under the umbrella of dark romance. So it's, you find the ones you like and you don't like, and that's okay. Like, you don't have to enjoy all of it. There's plenty of regular non-dark romance that I like a lot more than other parts of it. So
Oh, I'm sad that you
but I love Queen Kennedy.
Oh,
I know. I grabbed
Kennedy
200 books on a sale.
I am mad about that book from Kennedy, but like I just love Kennedy. So like I changed my rating in my on Goodreads. In my heart, it's a lower rating. Don't you guys do that? Like you won't be caught dead giving like a certain like taboo or problematic book like 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, but in your heart it's a 5 out of 5, but you won't tell anyone that.
No.
I secretly love these books, but I'm not gonna tell everyone that I love these books.
No.
This is just for me.
I'll say that like in a review. I'll be like, look, I know I'm giving this 3 stars, but honestly, I loved it. I just feel like, or the opposite. I'll be like, it's 5 out of 5 stars for me personally, but for everybody else, would not recommend.
Oh, that's like that one book that I had you guys read, Charles, that I thought was super steamy, but I think you and Nicole had read it.
Oh yeah,
after it came out, and you were like,
"Did you miss something?" We were both like messaging. We're like, "Did we miss something?"
I read the arc, and I'm standing firm in it that there were edits done. There were edits.
I demand a reread and another review for this book from you, and then we'll see.
Oh God, that's great.
It was one of the sinister fairy tale books.
Oh, okay. Well, I want to thank all of you for joining me today on this little experiment that I came up with. I appreciate all of you jumping in with me, jumping into Reddit for what was mostly the first time. And yeah, so why don't we go around and Steph, why don't you start and let everyone know where they can find you online?
Alrighty. Oh gosh.
Put you on the spot.
No, it's okay. So like I said, my name is Steph from Steph's Romance Book Talk, and I can be found on YouTube under Steph's Romance Book Talk, on TikTok as Steph's Romance Book Talk minus the K. Over on Instagram is Steph's Romance Book Talk, and Goodreads is Steph's Romance Book Talk. I try to stay away from Twitter. I haven't been on there. I'm so good about that. So not giving you my Twitter handle or anything like that. I do have a Patreon where I do like full reviews of every book that I read every single week. And then a whole bunch of extra fun stuff on the Patreon. And I think that is all my social media. I believe so. TikTok, YouTube, Patreon, Instagram. Yeah. And Goodreads. Of course. Okay. I try to do Storygraph, but Storygraph is too hard. So I'm gonna stick with Goodreads.
It's tricky. All right, Kelly, where can everyone find you?
You can find and follow Boobies and Newbies, and obviously listen to the podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts normally. I have a website. It's boobiesandnewbies.com, on which you'll find links to literally everything. But I'm also at Boobies Podcast, like you see in my name. I'm like trying to point to it, like it's there. But I'm at Boobies Podcast on basically all the platforms: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I did try to be at Boobies Podcast on TikTok, but they thought that I was like going to do porn. So I'm Boobies Podcast, but with zeros instead of O's. In Boobies.
Yeah.
How about you, Charles?
Like I said, my name is Charles. My channel name is Books on Stereo, and you should be able to find me on all platforms and various like Books on Stereo. I don't remember all my handles. I'm bad at that. I do have a link tree that's like Linktree Books on Stereo, so you can find all my links there. But yeah, I'm on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter.
All right. If anyone's keeping track, on Monday on this channel live, we will be discussing The Murder of Mr. Wickham by Claudia Gray, and that is at 10 p.m. Eastern and 7 Pacific. So hope to see you all there. But for now, viewers, thank you so much for joining me. Again, co-host, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you all come back for more ideas that I have, more little fun projects.
Thank you, Aaron.
Yes,
Thank
you're
you,
It was so much
Aaron.
fun.
yeah. But
Thank
until
you for
then, we'll see
inviting
you
me.
next time, everyone. Bye.